Welcome back. Here's the Kovacs report, and we are being treated to yet another new #1 from Marvel this week. Venom, Black, White, and Blood. Yes, very exciting times. Look at this cover. How menacing does it look? You know, I love this sort of black, white, and third color books that Marvel are pumping out there. Usually little self-contained stories, a little bit of fun in your coffee break. So I'm going to go through it page by page. There will be spoilers everywhere, so please read the book beforehand if you don't want it spoiled. Like the video if you like the video, and do hit that subscribe button. I'd really, really appreciate it. Let's dive in. So why did I pick this book up? Was it because Venom was on the cover? Absolutely it was. But there is another reason why I picked this book up. There's something else on the cover, and that is the name of David Michelinie. Yes, the absolute comic book legend has penned a story in this book. Now, there are 3 short stories in this book, all by different creative teams. But having David Michelinie write a story, I couldn't say no. He's penned, like I say, some of those historic runs from Amazing Spider-Man and Iron Man. It's an absolute no-brainer. So if you're a fan, definitely pick it up. Now, of course, we are treated to a deluge of variant covers, which seem to be the norm nowadays from every comic book company. You've got a Peach Momoko cover there too. And here we go. So the 3 stories are Force Majeure by David Michelinie. Jonas Scharf, I think, is drawing... was it Wolverine and Ultimates? Sweet Will Be the Flower by Mr. Fantastic Four, Ryan North, and Creees Lee. And the third and final story, Fathers and Sons, by another legend, J.M. DeMatteis and Dave Wachter. So the first story, the Pennsylvania woodlands many years ago. We've got these 2 armed men guarding and escorting this scientist. And we know he's a scientist because he's got that slick back white hair. He's old. He's got a laboratory jacket and a dicky bow tie. Now, you know, if you ever see a character like that, he's got to be a scientist, right? Now, they are hunting Wolverine. Not, I almost said Wolverine. They are hunting Venom. Yes, they are hunting Venom, but Venom is hunting them. He knows where they are. He's watching them. Now, this book, or rather this story, is pretty much Predator, but with Venom. And that does not detract from this at all, because it's a really cool story. So if you like Predator and you like that sort of jungle action, you know, this is for you. So what we do learn is this scientist guy knows that Venom is a sentient alien being. So that means there's got to be some kind of history between the two of them. Maybe he was experimenting on him and he escaped. Who knows? Well, I know because I've read the book, but I'm just trying to build some atmosphere. Anyway, he knows that this is also the key to his research, some kind of breakthrough in science or medicine, and he needs that symbiote back. He needs Venom, but Venom's not going to go lightly, is he? We know that. Now, these 2 trigger happy fools, as soon as they hear a sound, they just start shooting absolutely blindly into the woods, and the scientist is a little bit upset about it. He's like, you're a fool, you know, all this noise has alerted him to our presence. Now he knows where we are, and we don't have the element of surprise. And they continue. They continue. They get to this little sort of like river here. They start, I don't know, refreshing themselves, splash some water in their face maybe. And this is where we get Predator, I mean Venom, snatch one of them up into the trees, blood everywhere. And this trigger-happy fool just starts shooting blindly straight through his friend. I mean, he could have still been alive. Who knows? But he just starts shooting through. The scientist grabs this odd-looking tech gun. It looks very different from a conventional gun. It looks like it does something special, and it does. It shoots like these sonic beams. So it also knows that... or rather, we also know that scientists is aware of what the symbiote is reactive to, because, you know, symbiotes are reactive to those sonic pulsy things in the past. So it's building this story of that, you know, they know each other a lot more than we're led to believe at the very beginning. Now, it's not long before the second guy gets whipped up as Predator, I mean Venom, comes out from the shadows, camoed into the tree, which looks really, really cool. And he just basically says, it's go time now. It's go time. The scientist, he just shoots through his compatriot here. Absolutely no remorse whatsoever. Just blows him into oblivion, showing that this guy really isn't a nice guy. Maybe he's not just there, you know, to better mankind by experimenting on this alien and gaining some kind of knowledge in medicine or science. He's just a bit of a bad guy, really. And like I say, there's blood everywhere. This guy is smashed into smithereens, and parts of him are dripping and floating back down onto the floor. And the scientist knows that it's over. And then we get Venom just walking out all badass out of the forest. And he's saying to him, listen, you know, I've not long been bonded to this body, and I was careless. I was getting used to it, which gave you the opportunity to capture me. We find out that this guy actually isn't a very good guy at all. He has been experimenting on innocents and Venom too, I guess, by pumping them full of incurable diseases. But it's not just for the betterment of mankind, because he's heard him lament over and over of how this is going to make him rich and famous, how it's going to make him win awards. So it's not selfless. This guy is very much self-motivated, and it's all about him. And of course, he's very scared. He's edging and edging onto the cliff until he falls. But Venom saves him. The web flies out, hoists him back in, and the society is surprised, like, you saved me. You saved me. Oh my God. And he's like, I think you're misunderstanding what's going on here, doctor. He said, I just wanted a chat to say goodbye to you. And he says goodbye and lets him go. And he falls to his death. So, number one good story in the bag. We get to this next story, which is pretty cool too. We find this kid and he's bleeding out. He's been shot. And it says that, when you go through that last moment in time, you realize your life's over, you start having different emotions. Maybe you think, I wish I'd done something differently. Maybe pray for forgiveness. Maybe wish that you're going to survive through it. But this kid, all he's praying for is revenge. And it says here, and God moves in mysterious ways. And of course, old Venom turns up to this kid and he has a little chat with him. And he whispers into Venom's ear. And we jumped to the kid that shot this kid. And this kid is freaking out. He's covered in blood. You see the gun on the side. And you see him shooting at Venom as Venom lifts him up by his neck. But something changes. Something changes. Because he's bonded with this child, because that's what's happened here, right? He's allowed his symbiote to temporarily bond with this child to get revenge on the person that's basically caused his death. The kid has a change of heart. He realizes, because he's sort of understands what's going on with this kid now, that it was an accident, and he's scared and he's remorseful and he wish it hadn't happened and he wish he could change things. And that changes his point of view. And he thinks, you know what? No. We all make mistakes. It could have been me. Let's give this kid a second chance. And he lets him live. But then we jump straight back into present time. And we see Venom sitting here on the bench with that kid still in his body, watching the sun rise or set in his last moments. And Eddie Brock walking up to collect his symbiote. And then we jump again to a prison cell where Eddie Brock is telling this story. He's telling this story, and this other criminal's like, you're just full of it, man. You're saying you gave up your symbiote to help a complete stranger. He chose forgiveness, which means humans are good and we're all saved. We're all going to him. So I don't believe it. It's baloney. I don't believe it for one single second. He says, you are a murderer, just like me. Your body count may be higher, but you're just like me. There's no good in you whatsoever. What really happened is that the kid died on the street. You went and, chop the other kid up for doing it. That's what really, really happened. He says, you're no better than me or anyone else. So don't try and convince me otherwise. You're not a good person. And then Eddie looks into the Bible. I think Eddie is trying to become a better person. And then we get a final page and we find it, in actual fact, it really was true. He really did do it. So I like that story. It was fun. It does show the other side of Venom as well. I'm used to Venom being the villain. I know he's gone through some kind of changes lately, and he's a force for good and a force for bad, and then he's in the middle. But this was a nice little story to see that maybe there is some humanity left in Eddie Brock. So very, very good. 2 for 2. Now we get Fathers and Sons, and this goes back to the Maximum Carnage days, and it talks about what happened. The family of symbionts destroying everything and everyone, killing things. And it shows how the heroes turned up and saved the day. But in truth, it wasn't just the heroes who saved the day. Eddie Brock had something to do with it when he fought Cletus Cassidy and sort of ended the Maximum Carnage era. And Eddie Brock's feeling a bit upset about that. I think it's because, everyone's celebrating that that's happened, and he's still walking through there feeling down and out. No one's giving him credit for helping, or realizing that he had a part to play in it, that he is a good man. And as he's walking home, he hears this child being berated by his father. And it's quite clear that this man is obviously beating his child. He's not a very good father at all. And Brock just runs up to him. And just before he's about to do something about it, he has a flashback to his youth when his father was abusive to him. And he walked away. And it's bringing up all these feelings of what happened to him as a kid. This whole story is basically about family and how it affects you and what you can do, in the later stages. And the symbiote comes out and says, listen, you need to sort this out. You need to get rid of this guilt. It wasn't your fault. You're a boy. Just you're no help to me. I need you on form. I need you to be, this brutal sort of host for me. So you've got to sort it out. And then he goes through the whole moment. He goes through the whole moment of his father's dying days, and he finds out that, or rather, sorry, his mother's dying days. Okay, so I got that wrong. So his mother, we get this flashback of when he was born. It resulted in his mother dying, and his father resented him for that. And since that moment, he may have put a roof over his head and clothes his back, but he's hated him for it. And he's been an abusive, terrible father, blaming him through his whole life for being the person that's responsible for his wife, Eddie's mother's death. And he's been carrying that guilt for a long time, and all the other things that have happened to Eddie Brock are compounded on that, but this guilt has always been there, and he can't get rid of it. So he says, listen, you are a murderer as well. I am who I am. We're bonded. If I'm saying you're responsible for your mother's death, it's not because I believe it. It's because you do. These words, they're not coming from me. They're born of you and your shame and guilt. Your mother's death, your father's disappointment. You even blame yourself for carnage and all the innocent lives he's taken. Oh, but the guilt, Eddie, is a terrible thing, a monster. And we get these beautiful pages of Venom contorting into all sorts of different symbiotic monstrosities, and I love it. He's basically trying to say, yes, you know what, this happened, right? This happened, but it's not your fault, right? And this guilt is getting in the way of you doing whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, and it's getting in the way of what I need to be doing, right? So you need to just stop doing this and get out of that mindset. So anyway, he sort of devours him. And Eddie Brock comes out, sort of reborn. It's like a rebirth. And he says, right, have you destroyed the guild? And he says, no, but it's made it a little bit better. He says, right. He says, now we have sharpened the blade, and now we use it. And then he sort of goes back to the house of that abusive father. And he says, if you touch the kid again, I'm coming back for you. And I loved it. So, again, another little good deed from Eddie. So 3 really good little short stories, and the art in all of them was really, really lovely, really well written. I'm absolutely, I'm delighted, because I thought this book was going to be one of those sort of middle of the road books, didn't really do much, but these little short tales of Venom, seeing different sort of parts of his life and different perspectives from his past, were really, really good. And all in all, I thoroughly recommend it. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm not sure what the creative teams on the next books are. I think they change it up every issue, or maybe these 3, creative teams get to do the whole run. I don't know. But either way, I'm on board, and so recommend this week. So those are my thoughts. Do let me know yours, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.